Hello guys, this is FK8 Nick here. A video review on installing a aftermarket steering wheel on your Civic Type R or any 10th generation Civic. So I got it from this company called Revesol. They have really good options for a bunch of different car brands, but for the generation Type R, they had a couple options with a all leather option, perforated leather with the red stitching and the red stripe. And they also had a carbon fiber option, variations of colors, but it literally is using the OEM airbag and steering wheel control. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get this installed, and I'll show you guys how to do it. So here are some tools that I'm going to be using today. So I'm going to use a couple of pick tools, a Phillips head screwdriver, an impact wrench with a 10mm hex bolt, and I have my 3/8 ratcheting wrench with a T30 Torx extension and a 10mm socket. So you don't necessarily have to get the impact. I've done this install before and I used a breaker bar instead just because I didn't have this at the time. So you can definitely use a breaker bar. So let's get this install started. So currently I have Revesol's carbon leather, perforated leather option. Getting rid of this one just because this is not what I originally wanted. I wanted the full leather option, but they didn't have it at the time. So first things first, go ahead and remove the battery terminals. So negative first, then positive, and let the car sit for about 10 minutes or so. Just let all the power draw because you are going to be removing this airbag. So it's been about 10 minutes for me. So what I'm going to do now is there's going to be 2 bolts on the side holding this airbag together. So it's going to be one here. So it's one T30, and then it's going to be another one right over here. So we're going to go ahead and get this removed off camera, and once you get this removed, you'll be able to slowly pull out the airbag, and it's going to be held in by a ground wire and then 2 little clips. So you may need to get the pick tool. So I'm going to go ahead and get this removed, the side bolts first, and then I'll show you again. I'm going to go ahead and break it loose. And here are the bolts. They do have a bit of Loctite on them. It'd be hard to break them loose if it's your first time getting them off, but this is what they look like. So these are 2 T30 bolts. Alright, so now with the 2 bolts out, the airbag should come out, and as you can see it is. So it is held by those 2 green and yellow connectors. To better get a look for it, I would recommend flipping the bag over. It's not going to kink it or anything, but it does give it more space to see what you're actually getting. So there's the ground wire and the cable connectors you're going to take out. So we're going to take this out, and then the airbag should come right on out. Now with the airbag and other connectors removed, the next thing you want to do is remove this little white pin. There's a tab on the bottom, and you get that unplugged. So now the main part is going to be this bolt over here, and it's going to be a 10mm hex. So I have this on an extension on my impact wrench. So we're gonna go ahead and get this out. After some resistance, it finally came out. I just had to give it a little bit more leverage. So the Loctite I applied definitely made a big difference. So definitely say you need a good impact wrench for this. And as you can see, Loctite right there. So we'll go ahead and clean this up before we put the new steering wheel back on. Here is a look at the old steering wheel with the perforated leather and the red stitching. This is a very good piece. The quality is excellent. I just didn't really like this in the first place. I honestly prefer the all leather style. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer the steering wheel controls, some of the screws, some of the hardware onto the new wheel, and then we'll go ahead and put it back on the car. We're going to go ahead and remove 1, 2, 3, 4 screws, and also this screw for the ground wire. Be careful since this screw is going to be somewhat hooked onto this metal piece, so you want to loop it out. And then once you take these screws out, it should allow you to get this little back piece off, and we can transfer it over to there. So we're gonna go ahead and get these screws removed. So like I said, there's 4 holding the back housing, and then there's 1 screw holding the ground wire. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove some of these screws now. I will leave a link in the description below. Last thing, we do want to get the ground wire just because it is attached to that too. Okay, so now we should be good to go. Like I said before, you're gonna have to sneak or loop this cable out away from it. So there we go. So now we should be in business to pull this straight on out. And there are two connectors. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get the pick tool here and try to get this out. Yeah, the pick tool definitely made a big difference. So this is what the back of the steering wheel looks like. It'll be held by those 4 screws. It'll include this white wire, the ground wire, and the 2 steering wheel controls. So you want to make sure you have this and transfer it over to the new wheel. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get this plastic piece off first before we get the steering wheel controls off. So what you're going to do is you're going to see this little 3-prong connector. So I saw a video, shout out to Torque Toolbox. He recommended getting a 6mm socket and pressing it down. Unfortunately, I can't find a 6mm, so I'm using a 9/32. So same concept, just kind of get it in there and then get like some sort of mallet or hammer. I can already feel it pressing down a little bit. It probably won't be this easy on the OEM wheel. That wasn't a great experience. The results may vary for sure. Okay, we got that out. And all in one piece. So I have to go ahead and get the steering wheel controls removed. So this is a little bit harder as well. So you're gonna get these 2 side pieces as well as one right here. And also these little hooks. We're gonna go ahead and try to pull these out. So Torque Toolbox recommended getting a little screwdriver and just kind of prying in and pushing. So as you push, you get to see these little clip pieces move as well. So I got this one pushed a little bit more and it's already almost out. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this side pushed in. Got this out and transfer this over here. So it's basically the opposite steps. So you're gonna go ahead and press these in and do the reverse steps on getting the wheel installed and should be good to go. So it is possible that these little pieces can come out of place, and if they do fall out of the little silver bracket, that is totally normal. You can clip them back in. So if you thought you broke these, you did not. So same process, just try to get these in. Watched a couple YouTube videos, people installing this, Torque Toolbox, Cameron Hill. Shout out to you guys. I wouldn't have any clue on how to get this installed properly. Next thing was we want to get the little bottom clip piece installed. And like the last one, you want to make sure it goes into the right sections. There's holes in the middle section as well. And it looks good. Now for the back plate. One side. Okay. And we've got ground and 2 cables. So remember how the ground was tucked in, so let's go ahead and try to tuck that in so that it's easier to screw in or keep it where it was. There we let's go ahead and try to push these in there. Alright, everything is pushed in properly. Ground wire, plug. We're gonna go ahead and get these screwed back in. Ground screw is the smallest one, and it'll have all the washers, so that's how you distinguish. Try to make sure these are hand tight, obviously not too tight, in the event that you need to take this back off for any reason or convert it back to stock. And the other 4 screws basically holding that back piece in place. We can kind of do a little spot check just from how it looks. It looks great. So let's go ahead and get this installed. So now we're going to go ahead and mock the new steering wheel on and then get the bolt on. And so what I did was I got some medium strength thread locker. Hey guys, it's been a couple of days since I've installed the Revesol all leather steering wheel. Follow-up thoughts on the steering wheel. This compared to the carbon one that I had, this is a way better daily driver wheel. It's more useful just because everything's all leather. So what I mean by that is with the carbon option, I kind of noticed just like on hot days my hands would kind of get sweaty, and so could, you know, get really dirty pretty easily. I would have to constantly clean the wheel just because of the top and bottom portion, so I'd find myself using the sides more, which is fine, just a sense of a daily driver. I think this may be more useful every day, and also because I've autocrossed this car before, it just seems to be a better overall feel with the whole leather option. I prefer the leather on the sides. Very, very comfortable, good ergonomics. In heat, the carbon does get a little bit warm just because it's obviously not leather, so this option is better if you don't want that type of feeling where you can only touch the sides of the leather. And last thing on this is it's a true flat bottom wheel. A learning curve on using this wheel because the stock Type R wheel or your stock Civic wheel is probably a full base. The Type R wheel is a little bit shaved down, but not to the point where it's completely flat. So it took a little bit to get used to, but actually once I got used to the wheel, it was pretty much easy to get used to, and it was actually fine. Some people may find it uncomfortable in the beginning, but yeah, that was the only thing that I would say is a gripe. For the price that you pay, I think it's a great alternative for the OEM. I replaced this wheel, a second one, so I recommend this product. I recommend the company Revesol. I've seen other reviews for the steering wheels they make, and it's a pretty good product. I highly recommend. I will leave a link in the description below, so if you guys would leave a like, a comment if you have any questions, and subscribe if you want more videos like this. Thanks. Bye.